Hello friends and welcome back to a new episode of the TypeScript Tea Time. I'm your host Mirko and hope you're having an awesome morning or day or evening, depending on your time zone. We're going to continue on our blog. Before that I have a little, like 2-3 news that I've been working on behind the scenes. And that is these 3 little things. Well, we had the list of commands on the start screen and the break screen for quite some time now, but I improved that a little bit. We also have our cat. We added a laptop. There it is. Nice timing. By the way, she's using Arch. Owl. It is in this case Owl who's using Arch. And she doesn't, or the cat, I guess. I'm not sure whether they are male or female. They won't tell us. There's no tail waving just yet. Maybe at some point I will add a tail waving tail. And we also have a new overlay for squashing bugs, because as you might see up there, like right here-ish, there's now a small bug on screen. And if you use the cannon, which is here on this side, if you use that one to shoot the bug, and you hit the bug, you can also up and down, like so. Maybe I just bring up the commands ever so quickly. Text, add existing commands, add that one. Yeah. So these are the existing commands. Down below here you see up, down, power up, and also power down for like the more fine-grained aiming, targeting. We can also increase and decrease the gravity. And if you hit this bug, well, then something will happen. So try your best. All right. Removing the to-dos, the commands. Yeah. I don't even want this on my scene. Okay, I just had to make sure that I didn't delete the component completely. That would be very, very annoying. So we're going to continue with our step function. Last time, if you remember, we're working on a blog, or on an email newsletter for a blog. That blog, if there is a new article, like, well, we have like release times of 1 day or every 2 days maybe. Then we check whether there is a new blog. And if there is a new blog article, we send reminder emails. Please check out the new blog article to all the subscribers. What we currently see here is the current subscribe workflow. So something comes in from the HTTP API via post request, which has then, I think, so we can even look at it. It has an email, and it has also a privacy policy accepted at date, which sometimes may be important, sometimes not. This comes from the front end typically, so your blog would have a post form inside of the web page, or it could also be via JavaScript, like something like a React form. It passes some validation. We want to remove this one, I think today, or move it, better to say, into the API gateway. And then we call an API on simple email service, which is another service from AWS for email sending and email managing. And you can manage contact lists, email lists with it. That's what this one is doing. If everything is all right, then we send a welcome email. If, however, the email already existed, we go in this catch path here, and it's not visible unfortunately from this graph, but if we go into the state machine directly and go into the workflow editor, we see that this is indeed a catch So this is kind of error handling. And we check whether there is already an email subscribed by checking for a specific error message that is handled, that is provided by this endpoint, the SESV2 already exists exception. That's the name. We can just put in the name of the error here and just tell it, well, if that happens, go into this state. And then in this case, well, we don't do anything because we are already, the user is already subscribed. Fixing the camera here quickly. Right. So from here, we want to pretty much do the same on the unsubscribe at this point. Let me double check that my audio is working. Test, test. Yeah, okay. Alright. Back on my music, relaxing Saturday morning music from Final Fantasy. We currently already have an unsubscribe endpoint, but that one does not have any error handling. In fact, it just comes in and it just deletes it. Very, very simple. Problem being that if there is no such contact, we actually get an error, and we don't want that. That's like an expected state that somebody sometimes, I don't know, clicks the same link twice from inside the email, the unsubscribe link, and we don't want the errors because that means an alert. And basically, in this case, it would be a false alert because, well, there is nothing to do for the human who has to actually look at it. So we want to add error handling to this, and that should be fairly easy because we did it in the other one yesterday. So what we can do, I think, is we go in here, or maybe we look at the existing executions. We see none of them having failed. We can maybe look at this old one that we have. What did happen to you, my friend? Ah, there we go. We have a SESV2 not found exception. And above, which is a fake email, doesn't exist in this list. Service, blah, 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 status code 404, whatnot. So we can take this error message. So we somehow have to know the error message, that the part that is like a little tricky in this case. And then if we go to unsubscribe, we like the new one that we're actually working on. The other one is like old and we need to remove it at some point. Then we can just jump in here, can edit this node, this state, and go to error handling here on the right side. We can, well, on the one hand, we could retry on errors, but in this case, I don't think that's what we want. We can catch errors, however. And in this case, we say, well, the error, oopsie, not what I wanted. The error, specify one or more errors that would trigger this retryer. It's not a retryer, it's a catcher. That's a mistake in AWS. You can select the built-in Amazon state error, so we have a bunch, or we can provide our own one like so. So if there is a not found exception, in that case we want to actually just take a flow point right here, and we just go to success in that case. And now I can go back to the catch error and I can say, well, fallback state is going to be success. And this delete state, we actually don't want to go. So in here, I want to go to end instead. So success is just a fallback state. Maybe there is a way to actually say we go to the end. Go to end not supported. Okay, that's not an option in this case. So inside the error handling, we cannot just go to the end. We need to go to something. And in this case, we just say, well, there's nothing to do. Email not found. Do nothing. Oh, nothing. And inside of here, we can also give this catcher, this error handling, a name, and we can say email not found, like so. And now it shows up here, which helps us with documentation in a sense. Also, if we actually look at the document, at the generated definition file, which we will copy and put in our well, we have everything managed using AWS SAM, which is like an infrastructure as code service. There we will put this, and then we see, well, maybe if I just copy this over to unsubscribe, or first duplicated, we now see, well, this is a description of my state machine. Indeed, we want to say something like unsubscribe from email newsletter. What did we say on the other one? Subscribe to email newsletter input. Okay. So unsubscribe from email newsletter input is indeed a JSON object with properties email, and I think that's all there is to it. So we have a little bit of documentation there, which helps. Then we do the delete contact, and we have this catch right here. Whenever there is a SESV2 not found exception, then we go to next state is email not found, do nothing, which is just a succeed state. Don't do anything. And we have this comment here, which makes it simpler to understand what is this catching actually about. Nice. That should be about it. We have to change the email contact list here once more, because I don't want to hard code it. Instead, we can use, thanks to AWS SAM, we can do these kind of template little strings, as you would do in JavaScript, kind of, or very, very similar at least. Then we remove all of this, we save it, save it. And I think that's about it. All we need to do is SAM build now, then SAM deploy, and we should be good. Ouch. Hit my knee there. Oh, I got an error in the knee. And then we can deploy. This will now check what is actually deployed in the cloud and what do we have locally. Oh, let's say not what is actually deployed in the cloud, but at least it's looking at what is specified in the cloud already, the previous version. Yeah, what is actually deployed is something slightly different. So here we have newsletter step function. Why are these being redeployed? I have a feeling we changed this one, which changes this one, which changes in turn this one, which is annoying, which is very, very annoying. Isn't there a way around that? So let's say yes for the time being. Yes. So the reason why we see so many changes is, I think, because a lot of resources in here depend on this template here. This template, however, in turn, it depends on the HTTP API, because it needs the ID to put in the URL. Could inject this URL somehow differently, right? That would be an option. That would absolutely be an option. Which means we could do something like API ID right there, API ID right there, or API gateway API ID. That's the more correct term in a sense. And we have to double these because I now want to make them into template literals. So I don't handle it on the level of AWS SAM. I do go out on weekends, but for the next 2 weeks I will just stay in my room so that I will definitely not get sick. Because I've been waiting for my trip to Japan for 2 years, and I don't want to mess that up. I do go out on weekends from time to time. Also, it's early in the morning. It's like 9 o'clock. Do you go out on weekends in 9 o'clock? Most people actually sleep at this time. Tomorrow a friend of mine will come over and we're gonna have a little hackathon. We did this over the last couple of weeks, or like almost 2 months or something. So every weekend we're just hacking away at one of our games. Ursorger, do we have that here? No, we don't. Great. And good to see you. Welcome in. How are you feeling on this Saturday morning? Even in play. So one thing that I wanted to do just now. By the way, you're chilling on Twitch as well and watching coding streams. So don't blame me for something like that. One thing that I wanted to do is, so we had this kind of cyclic dependency for the email template, which depended on the on the HTTP API, and I think we can reduce this ever so slightly. Oh, we might actually cause a cyclic dependency even more. So this email template depended on the API. So whenever we changed anything that changed the API up here, which is pretty much everything, almost. Whenever we did that, it also meant that we need to, let me see. Whenever we changed the API, we also changed the template, and we change everything that depends on the template. So there's this tail of stuff that doesn't really need to be redeployed, but it still shows it in this list up here. Even though when we go down here, it didn't really change it. So that's a little weird. And I think we can change that ever so slightly by not using !sub here. Well, we do need sub for the AWS region. But by changing this value right here, or maybe it's the AWS region. Well, we will see. Changing this API gateway to not use the ID or to not use SAM to inject the ID, or CloudFront for that matter, but instead we use the template language. So whenever somebody sends this email template, they also need to provide this API gateway ID. And so we need to check who's actually using this thing, and it is the newsletter. So I think what we need to do is go into the newsletter. And so we need the API gateway, well, this, which is going to be !ref HTTP API. That's the name of our API. Yeah, there it is. Very good. And from there, we need to go into our workflow, which is here. We need to move that one, by the way. To move to state machines directory. And now we have our parameters right here. We can inject the parameters like so, and then we use you, my friend. So on a step function level, this is actually just going to be a string, which then gets injected into the email template. Right? No, it doesn't. Never mind. The email template is actually in our step function. App.ts. It is here. So we have to inject it into the const. So we have to inject it right here instead with small letter, and it's going to be, well, API gateway ID, I guess, is equal to process.env.api gateway API ID. We actually want to get rid of all of these and all of these, and actually also this one. Do we need to provide these? Yes. Okay. Huh. This one too. This one too. Okay. We could add some validation. Const assert and vars is going to be if not no. Nice guess, but that is not correct. Throw new error, template error and not defined. Similarly, we want to pretty much copy this one. We do that one, we go that one, and we do another one. This one and that one, and also for the API gateway ID, because otherwise it won't work. Like so, like so. And then we can, I don't know, return something that basically just says this here. Does that make sense? What I'm doing here? Oh. Come on. And then we can actually, this is get env first. Const env. Yep. Like so. And that helps us to actually have proper validation. We don't need you anymore. We don't need you anymore. And these are now indeed strings because TypeScript sees, oh, if this is not defined, well, then you actually throw. So, well, we can reduce the type to actually have it be a string and not string or undefined. Because by default, environment variables in Node, so these process.env.something, they are string or undefined. So if you provide nothing, it will return undefined. Alright, so that should do the trick on that part. On that part, we don't need you here. We do need instead go to our Lambda function. Our Lambda function. Transform to bulk email. is here, there, and then we need to provide a new environment variable. And I forgot the name. API Gateway API. So, and that should help us a little bit. I think. I hope. I hope. Yeah, I do hope. All that's left is hope. So what did we change before? Do you remember? We changed the state machine. So we should see in our delete state machine here, if I leave this for now, and I go to leave once more, and I go to state machine, and I go to unsubscribe now, we should see that this has indeed changed. Yay, very nice. We now have error handling. When this one is not found, we actually do not error, which is very nice. So let's try this. I think I need to create a new instance because I have everything right there, I think. And we can try to unsubscribe as soon as this has loaded. Come on, there we go. Send request. It currently just, so to the client it just says, yeah, okay, something, blah blah. Application/x Amazon JSON 1.0. We need to change the content type. There is one to do here. We have one to do that when we copy and paste this link into the browser, it actually downloads something. And now that I see up here, oh, you cannot see it. So it's showing content type is this X Amazon JSON. I think that's the reason why it's actually starting a download, because Firefox does not know this, I don't think. So what we actually want is we want to change this content type into at the very least application/JSON. At the very least. And I hope this works with this E9. Anyway, let's check. Let me copy and paste this. That was quickly. P bams bams. Header content type header might be the issue here. So now let's go back to our unsubscribe function, and we have a new execution. We see succeeded. In this case, it actually deleted something. So if we call our friend once more, we should now go into this email not found state. So let me go to unsubscribe once more. This is the newest execution, like right now. And we see this one now has become yellow. We have a caught error. That's what it says down here. Might not be super visible for you guys. And then we go into the succeed state. Just like that. And that means it is indeed. Okay. It's visible. Okay, very good. Sure. From time to time, the UI of AWS can be very invisible. Like whenever you go to IAM, I can't even read it on my screen, to be honest. When you go to IAM and you look at some role, maybe this one, here, this is so hard to read for me. I don't know why they made it like that. I always have to do. I only have one user in this case, I think, yeah. Yeah. The one that we are currently working on. So. But I do have many roles by now, or a couple of roles that are custom. CS, for example. Most of them are actually last activity. Yeah, we see some service stuff. Can we see somewhere the here the Lambda functions that are being triggered and whatnot. The step function role, the role that triggers the step function. Man, there's a lot of roles and stuff involved. But it's very, very secure. That's very nice. I mean, how many users do you need typically? About the amount that you have actual people involved, right? Or at least that's what I would expect. Let's say it like that. You can be more fine-grained, but at least for this development environment, I don't think that's useful. I just have one admin user and that's it. Step functions. So we have our workflow done. Apparently I still had some outstanding changes. So one thing that I want to do now is actually build once more and see whether the changes that we've made. Oh, template file not found. I'm in the wrong directory. Why? Yeah. In here, I want to build once more. By the way, Homeless, do you see the bug up on the to-do list here? You can shoot it with a cannon. Yeah, try shooting it with a cannon. It is fairly small, the bug, but it should be okay-ish to hit actually. And remember, you can just type anything after the exclamation mark up if you have to go even further, and Twitch is blocking you from writing something. And if you want to fine-grain stuff, so if you notice that it's slightly too high and if we go down it's slightly too low, then you can increase the power with exclamation mark power up, or decrease the power with power down. That's also an option. Yeah, that might actually work. Judging from what I've seen so far, you might actually now be about in the right trajectory. Oh, so close. Nice shot, however. Let's see how many changes we have. I think one more power up and then you're good. Fire!
Oh yeah!
Yay! You squashed the bug! Congratulations! Nice. Very nice. It would be cool if we actually can display the... Yeah, I built it yesterday. It would be nice if we can display the user's symbol, handle. How do you call these? The profile image. So now we see SES template changes. Then we redeploy the Lambda function, and then we also need to redeploy these two, which is at least slightly less than what we had before. In particular, when we change the step functions that change the HTTP API we still see this. Well, this one and this one and this one will then be redeployed. It's slightly reduced at the very least. I wonder if there's better ways to do this even. Yeah. So the bug is going to show up somewhere between 5 seconds and 5 minutes again. And then we can squash it once more. Squash them bugs. Squash all them bugs. Alright. It seems to have worked. Hey Nixada, are you going to allow users to reply to the email? And so how are you going to store the response? Put it in S3 or in a database? I am not going to do that. You could, as far as I've seen. Hey,
joined our tea time.
Good to see you. Cheers on you. As far as I've seen, you can use AWS SES simple email service. That's what we're doing and what we're using. You can set up an email inbox as well, if I've seen it correctly. Sender, delivery, email receiving here. When you use SES to receive incoming emails, you have complete control over which emails you accept and what to do with them after you receive them. You can accept or reject emails based on the IP, email address, domain, or domain of the sender. Once SES has accepted the email, you can store it in an S3 bucket, execute custom code using a Lambda function, or publish notifications. So that would be an option if you wanted to do that. I have not set that up. Oh, it's not linking here. Okay. Link highlight. So the link got messed up. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's the. You could set something up like that if you wanted to. Since it's like it would be nice to have. It would probably be nice to actually be responsive as well in terms of customer experience, right? So that's a good point. That would be an option. Yeah, maybe we will look at it at some time. I don't know yet. Currently, it's not on my plan because it doesn't quite fit the ideas that I have. Oh, the music is totally off. Let's switching to the next song, maybe. Yeah. It seems you've worked with AWS some more already. Is that right? What did you check out so far, and how did you like it? Always very, very curious to hear other opinions. There's also that's the simulator. Okay, never mind. All right. So let's say, well, this is, what did we call these? Did we change anything? Yeah, we did change actually something. Error handling in unsub, right? Subscribe. On ignore or succeed, on duplicate, on non-email not found. That's what we added. And I think with that we have actually done our unsub handle task, and we can take the next one. What do we actually have as next tasks? Let's go to Trello. It's easier to look at. So following the unsub link downloads JSON response. That would be one thing that we could look at. We would have to rewrite the header to get a better, like a application slash JSON at the very least. I still want to actually just overwrite the complete response, if that's in any way possible using API gateway, but I don't know how just yet. Let's move on to the request body validation. I think that's going to be fun. So what we want to do is, so currently inside of this subscribe endpoint, step function, we do a very, very simple validation. It is really just, is this field email actually present? Okay, edit conditions. Is the $email field present? And is it of type string? And is this other privacy policy accepted property present? And is it also a string? We can push this outwards to API gateway, if I'm not mistaken. I just have to find out how we can do this using the open API definition that we provide right here to configure our endpoints. I love AWS. It has increased my business productivity in a major way. Being able to spin up instances with AMIs for that's for EC2 virtual machines. The images for virtual machines, and using CLI has been great. Also, with the development tools we have created a smooth pipeline and deployment. Currently working on getting my developer associate. Oh, very nice, very nice. Also, the funding that AWS gave us for being a startup is great. Oh, sweet, sweet, sweet. Congratulations also on that. Yeah, there's this. Is it Accelerate? No, it's. Oh, I forgot the name. I had the name Activate. So our stream actually got kind of sponsored as well, with like 200 credits for 1 year. That was actually before they had AWS Activate. That was very, very cool, and we could check out some stuff. By now the credit unfortunately expired. This is indeed even bigger. I suppose this is not a comma in the German sense, which would mean it's $100, not 100,000. Wow, that's a lot. Very nice. Cool. Very, very cool to hear your opinions. I'm pretty happy, in particular with the serverless stuff. I can't remember what it's called, but we got around $750 support and 1,000 credits. Very nice, very nice. And Manly, welcome back in. Good to see you again. Very nice. Congrats on that. Happy for you. And that it's just particular if you're a startup, you want to experiment a lot, right? You want to experiment a lot and find the stuff that actually works. Then these credits, even if it's just one. Just in quotes, $1,000, it helps a lot. Getting you started and lowering the entry hurdle, because there is more than enough stuff that you have to figure out as a startup. Does not sound like a huge amount of credit, but it actually is a lot. How much you can do with that? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. In particular, when you're getting started. And because of their pricing model of you pay for what you actually use, because if you want to buy a server for $750, you probably won't get one. But if you want to have, I don't know, how many hours on EC2 are these? At least a lot. In particular, you get 750 hours for the first monthly for the first year. So the first year on small machines is for free, right? So that's really nice. I'm doing well, Ali. I'm enjoying my Saturday morning stream. We already did a little bit of work. We already got the one thing done, which is having the state machine for the unsubscribe do some error handling. So it now checks whether the email was found, and in that case, it doesn't do anything. Oh, there's a bug on screen. Try to shoot it if you want. Exclamation mark up, exclamation mark down to control the cannon here on the left side. And exclamation mark shoot to shoot the bug at the end. Next year we need to pay a fee for the AWS partner network. But paying that fee is going to be worth it. Yeah, having the right people to do that can help you out, give you the right knowledge, is worth a lot. I think that's also why oftentimes it's you can pay very little amounts of money for doing a dev job if you outsource it to the right countries. But if you have the right people to do the right job and they know what they're doing, then things get done much easier, with higher quality, quicker, with higher quality, with less headache.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa! First shot! Congrats on this. You squashed another bug. We need to add a counter, I think, at some point. Currently, it's completely on the front end, the overlays. One of the biggest advantages for the AWS partner is the free training courses, resources for the employees. Oh, I didn't know that. I haven't worked with AWS Partner Network just yet. Looking forward to do that. I think maybe, so in 2 weeks, since I'm moving 8 time zones and going to be living in Japan for 3 months, my streaming schedule also needs to change, as well as the way that I'm streaming, because I think I cannot use my camera, but I will bring my microphone. Audio is just the most important part, I think. Oh, there's another bug. First come, first serve. They appear a lot on stream today. We only added those bugs today. As employees, you getting certified, you get some benefits. I'm certified as well. I needed to do it myself though, because I'm freelancer. Yeah, there's a lot to experience on the AWS front. There is a lot of innovation to be made as well. You can build amazing businesses. In fact, so I have a startup idea that I want to do, probably also with AWS. And the reason why we're currently building using step functions is for me to get deeper into step functions, and see how I can control the code and the different services and put them together easier than doing something like one single big Lambda function, for example, which is always an option, at least if you have fairly short running workflows. But it's not very visual, not at all, in fact. This one is very visual, step functions, and I love that about it. It's unfortunate that yesterday we checked out the express workflows or express type state machines of step function. So when I say a step function, I mean actually a step function state machine. That's the state machine is the principal object, the primary object of step functions. But you do not, when you're using express, which is the other type of step functions that you have, this one is standard, you do not get this nice overview. Instead, you're just publishing the logs to CloudFormation, CloudWatch. Everything is called Cloud something. So confusing. To the log service of AWS, which I find to be unfortunately to be unfortunate. In particular, that is one of the greatest things I find about step function, having worked with it now for like 2 weeks. And I want to do the stuff that we're building currently, the clone, the MailChimp clone. I want to do that as a speed run. That's going to be fun. I don't really run the AWS partner stuff. One of my employees does it. So you're the founder. Oh, very nice, very nice. Very interesting to hear your thoughts as well. You're the founder CEO, but I focus a lot on the development teams and have hired people to run the financial, sales, legal, partner relationships, supplier relationships, and such. My main thing is product development. Ah, yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah. That's the kind of position that I'm thinking of as well. Like going towards the product development. Also talking to some customers, of course. If you develop a product, right? You know better than I do. But also like linking to the development teams at the very least. And I have no idea about the financial stuff. I can talk to them, to my tax advisor, for example, and stuff. But I have no talent whatsoever in terms of sales, I think. Legal, I can understand it, and it takes me a lot of time to get into it, and I eventually understand it, but it's probably also something that I would like to outsource. Partner relationships, not sure. It depends on the product, right? How whether you have something like that, I guess. Supplier relationships also depends a bit on the product. Yeah, if it's only a software product and nothing completely virtual, then you don't really have suppliers except for AWS maybe, and maybe some other third-party libraries and services that you have to integrate with. Then again, thinking about it, those relationships probably become very, 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 very important at that point. Yeah. Well, we will see. I'm not in that position just yet, but it's very interesting to hear from you, because I kind of hope to be able to do stuff like that in the long run. Legal is actually bigger than I actually thought, because it takes a lot of. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. On stream, we do everything open source. Most of the stuff that we have is MIT licensed, so if you want to check it out. I haven't pushed anything of the serverless MailChimp code just yet. I will put it up as well at some point. But I probably need to remove the blog articles that I am writing. Then again, who cares? Oh, we'll see. But I will push this up to the GitHubs as well as time goes by. Partnerships are extremely important as you can get discounts. Oh, fair enough. Good point. Yeah. I remember one company that I worked with. No, I'm probably not allowed to say that. Never mind. Never mind. Bills can get high if you don't get the right discounts. Bills can get immense if you don't get the right discounts, even for like seemingly trivial services. API gateway resource validation. API gateway resource validation, or request validation. Enabling request validation on API gateway. That's what we're going to look at. We somehow have to change everything into this YAML format and also into this OpenAPI format. So that's going to be slightly different. In here we can apparently set up basic request validation. That sounds good. Open API definitions of a sample API with basic request validation. Wow. I take it. It is not quite what we need, but I think we do indeed need this kind of thing. Here we go. So we have this path as property right there. For us, it's for whatever reason on the root level, but that works. /validation. it's probably just that's the name of the route, and they just chose /validation for as an example. Yeah, feel free to drop a link to your company or your services and products. I'm very interested in it as well. Thank you for being here. Then we see, so this is the route we post to /validation, and before that, of course, the API gateway route comes. And then we can use this. So these are extensions. API gateway request validator. I'm not sure what all means, but we will find out. So for example, we have a post request right here, and we want to add validation. So I think the way we can do this now is say, you can have cheeseburger. I had cheeseburgers yesterday, by the way. Midori had also cheeseburgers yesterday. What kind of options do we have here? So let's go to GitHub Copilot and check what kind of solutions we can get. Empty string. That's not too useful. Unfortunately. Maybe if we go to this once more, open GitHub Copilot, we can have all. We can have request params validator. We can also have request validator, apparently. Validate body. Are these actual strings? How do we find this out? Do we... here we go. So we have... Wait, there's validators and there's validator. Okay. There's also params only. Yeah, I suppose we need something like this. Oh, that didn't work. Copy. Paste. And then we need to provide the parameters right here on the root level. No, in small letters, please. Then we have in body name something. So in body, it's an array, so we have to use this in body. We have a name email. Okay, I think we can do it like that, yeah. So we call this one subscribe post or subscribe DTO body. Body model. We have a few products currently offered. We have a web report application that monitors an employee's internet usage and sends an email containing graphs that breaks down their internet usage. It does not block sites, but after a few days of customers implementing a non-work related internet usage increases drastically. We currently think it is a psychological response based on that. If the employee is getting this email, the employee won't get it. Yeah. It seems you also try to understand why this reaction actually occurs, which is very good. Kind of trying to find the basis for why is your product actually working. The preferred application is also used by schools. I can understand. But the schools have us manage the application fully and block sites based on trends the software finds and their internet usage policies. Yeah. blocking bad websites, for example. Interesting. So we need required true, continuing on here, and then we provide the schema which references the, how do we provide this? $/definitions. Okay, like so. Apparently I use double quotes here. And then we need to call this subscribe body model. And down below, I think we can now define the thingy. Like down, definitions, subscribe. Yeah, that looked okay-ish. We have a type. So the body is an object. Inside of this object, we have an email of type string, which has format email. What does format mean? I'm not sure. Maybe that's like a, is that a pre-made? I think what we need to look at is API gateway model validation. Where do we see the examples for that? Oh. Yeah, students can be students. The further service model. Very cool. Test. Wait. Open API. 3.0. Okay. I'm not sure whether we can use this. I don't exactly know where we find the documentation for this fun stuff here. With validation. Maybe if I go back. Gateway model. Create a model. Yeah. See models. We have working with models, schema, items, type string. We may be able to do something API gateway, validate email. Well, now that I remember, wait. I remember something. Something with backend. And let me push this over here just in case. Config. Look at that. So back in the day, like 2 years ago or something, actually already I work with serverless framework and not SAM, which is like an alternative to it, but not built from AWS. Instead, serverless framework allows you to also deploy to Google Cloud Platform and others. Doing some more stuff, and here we can do something like requests, schemas, application/JSON, and then we provide a JSON schema, which is like a library. JSON schema version 4, if I remember correctly. And with this one, I am able to implement the documentation. And this is actually I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is native to API gateway on AWS. So if we, for example, look at this dude here, inappropriate schema, here we have a message ID, a reason, and a comment that need to be in this report inappropriate request body. This is for like flagging inappropriate content because user generated. Java, PHP, and Laravel is supported on a couple of different operating systems, but it does not run on the client machines. It runs on the server and uses a DNS to gather the data on each user. We mainly run on Ubuntu 22. Yeah. They need to use your DNS server. Question. I love the keep up the communication. I love to see it. I love to see it. That's kind of the community I want to create. So I'm very, very happy right now. We also have something for unsubscribe. For example, here it needs to have this pattern. Do you have something with email? Because I'm not able to provide an email pattern. The email, if you want to regex emails, it is going to be ridiculous. Seriously. It is ridiculous. But this looks very, very similar to what we do right now, right? We have like the properties, email, so type object, properties, then the actual property. In this case, it's token. It has a type, it has a description, and we might actually be able to just use form pattern here. Is that how you validate an email? I doubt it. Looking at it, I doubt it. So, email validation regex. Apparently I looked at it before. Yeah. Isn't that obvious, everybody? Similar how Pi-hole works. Yeah. Yeah. What can I say? What can I say? Do we just take it or there is no good regular expression? The RFC is extremely complicated. Yeah, the RFC for emails is indeed very, very complicated. I had to read it at one point. And actually implement some stuff with it. So it can be hosted in the cloud or on-premise. On-premise it is locked down server instance that we only have access to as one of the ways to protect our intellectual property. Same cloud. Look at this. This is just ridiculous. It is no. I mean, we can try this one. That's probably like one of the best regexes that we can have, I suppose. Let's see. Regex 101. And let's put in some examples. If we say hello, that doesn't work. If we say hello at, it doesn't work. If we say hello at A, it doesn't work. If we take hello at A.B, it does work. I think top level domains are at least 2 characters, so this is actually not that precise, but it is, I suppose, more than enough. Probably. If we just say A at A.B, that doesn't work. If we have spaces, it doesn't work. Very good. If we have anything like this, doesn't work. Very good. If we have, I don't know, multiple add characters, it does not work. It does work. Oh, that's not good. Multiple ads should be removed. Not having access to the code is a good start to protect it. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of. Invalid escape sequence in... how do we escape this in frickin' YAML? Okay, we can apparently use these double quotes to escape properly. Email address to subscribe. Validation is best effort, but not perfect, but far from perfect. Right, we do not have an email, we do not have a name. What we do have, however, is if we go to unsub... Am I talking about... No, I'm talking about subscribe. No, wait. This subscribe, we do have privacy policy accepted at... like so. It is of type string. In fact, it is going to be an ISO date. ISO 8601 regex, thank you. This one is also fairly complicated. It is incomplete as it matches invalid dates, but this is good enough. I think I did this right here somewhere back in the day. So why reinvent the wheel? Maybe I didn't. Do we have any other schema.json? Subscribe, unsubscribe, contributions. Isolate, there we go. I think that's only the date. It has 2022, then 01, for example, and then two more characters. So that is not... That is only the date without the time. We need the time, I think. So let's take this bad boy. ISO 861 validation that doesn't suck. Are there solutions that actually prevent you from diving into container? I mean, in Docker you can always do, let's see, do I have actually something running? Yeah, in Docker you can always do docker execute -it f1ba8cef8725. Of course, you have to access the host system to be able to do that, but then you're now inside of the container. Maybe another other runtime environments, container runtimes forbid this, diving into the machine manually. I can imagine, but I wouldn't know of any. I basically only know the one that is, it's containerd, right? The one underlying Docker, if I remember correctly. Alternatives. Secure. Oops. Apparently there's also one from Apache, 2 from Red Hat. Assuming that these alternatives are actually correct. Sometimes you see completely stupid alternatives because they are also they are automatically generated. Startup stash. 0VM Podman build kit. Is that a Docker kit? Docker thing allows for parallel build processes. Oh, interesting. LXD, OpenVZ, Builder, Rancher. But those are way higher, aren't they? They're not really alternatives to Maybe this one is. Huh. Anyway. What do we do? We have... I wanted to copy this bad as validation string. It has for a full string including oh boy. Let's keep it simple. Like so. How do we do /i? I cannot just do this, right? Well, actually, I don't want the /i. Now that I think about it. So this should match Wikipedia ISO 8601 because Wikipedia shows you up here on the right the current time in multiple formats. I want probably this one. That seems to match. Yeah. Then we can also do this one, which does match, and there's also one where you have 6 zeros and it also matches. Okay, let's take this one. So we take, this is a string. I'm still not sure about this format. I do want to say pattern, and it should be this bad boy. And then this is ISO 8601 timestamp in UTC, ideally in UTC time zone. Done. So required are these two. And maybe that's it. So now we validate that the parameters have this model. Where does this model come from? It is defined down below. It needs to be an object. It has to have properties, or down here we see that it has to have properties email and privacy policy accepted at. And then we validate these using, on the one hand, what kind of property it is, like which type of JSON data type, string in this case, and a little pattern for regex and a little description. Okie dokie. Maybe we can find some more documentation on it. No. We can also reroute directly to a Lambda function. Is that correct? Oh, we are on Oracle. Wrong cloud provider. Ta-dum. '17 released. Let's see. So I still want to find out whether there are better ways. For example, this email would be very, very nice. We have that automatically. So we can use pattern. This looks alright-ish. But we can also exclude it, huh? Can we? /post/orders. Whole body only. What is this supposed to mean? per request validator full. Ah, this is like configuration. Oh, I get it. This is configuration for the validator extension. So I think we have to add this like down below, probably. And then we can reference the values full and body only. Actually, we don't have body only. We have parameters only. It's probably, by the way, a better way to convert JSON to YAML. Comma needs to be gone. This comma needs to be gone. This needs to be gone. So done. Then we want parameters, params only. Validate, request powder. Yeah, there we go. So, and we can now use this value here, I think. If I understand this correctly. Maybe we even put a link to this documentation, because this might actually be the so far the one that seems to be most reasonable and useful. Response templates. This might be the stuff that we want. Oh no, we tried that. Never mind. Never mind. And it's off type mock. Never mind. Schema. Can I copy you? Oh, there's no copy button, damn it. Oh, it's also version 2. That might be an issue. That might be an issue. Do we need to provide the schema property? Other than that, they also provided at the root, interestingly. Well, I guess we just deploy it and we'll see. This doesn't seem to be existing. And then we can say SAM build, and we can say SAM deploy, and we can say SAM yes, please actually deploy. And while it's deploying, I'll be off for just a few minutes. Oh, away from keyboard. There's another bug. If you want to hit it up here, you can use it, or you can try to shoot it with the help of the cannon here on the left side. So change that being created. We see the API gateway has changed. The Lambda function actually apparently has changed because it depends on the API gateway, unfortunately, which then triggers this change. Still not perfect, but yeah. That seems to be alright-ish. And I'll be right back. Does the bug despawn? Fix the bug with a bug. We can code any application by writing comments, and then Code Whisperer creates code from our comments. That's a nice one. Yeah, or GitHub Copilot. Hey, it worked. We will check it in a minute. I'll have to take a quick break here. Back we are. So we have deployed. Let's check whether the validation actually does indeed work. For that, I'll be going into the breach. This one. And we can say, well, post, subscribe. We can maybe do email. First copy it. We can say email is just hi, which is obviously not an email. Do it. It worked. Huh. Huh. And now we have an error. Well, that failed. Yeah, that one probably won't work. Mm-hmm. 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 API gateway. I already have it open right here. Okay. So where do we see the we have no authorizer attached. That's not what we need, right? Is it? Manage integrations. Parameter mappings. API gateway. HTTP API. Validation. You can configure API gateway to perform basic validation of an API request before proceeding with the integration request. That sounds just like what we want, yeah. When the validation fails, API gateway immediately fails the request, returns a 400 response to the caller, and publishes the validation results to CloudWatch. This reduces unnecessary calls to the backend. Very good. More importantly, it lets you focus on the validation effort specific to your application. Yep. Overview of API gateway can perform the basic validation. This enables you, the API developer, to focus on application deep validation on the backend. For the basic validation, API gateway verifies either or both of the following conditions. The required request parameters in the URI, query strings, and headers of an incoming request are included and non-blank. The applicable request parameters adhere to the JSON schema request model of the method. To enable basic validation, you specify validation rules in a request validator. Add the validators to the API map of request validators and assign the validator to individual API methods. Wow, that sounds very complicated. AWS. Maybe there's something for AWS SAM. AWS. We cannot use SAM. Because we are inside of OpenAPI at this point. We are not inside of SAM anymore. Create a model. Do we need to choose a REST API? I do not see anything about model in here. We create a REST API ever so quickly. Why do we have REST API twice? Private. Okay. Build. New API, blah blah blah. Test, delete me. And regional, whatever. Good. Here we have models. Okay. I think we have to switch over to a REST API then. AWS API gateway. HTTP API versus REST API. It supports more features, but HTTP APIs are designed with minimal features so they can be offered at lower prices. Choose REST APIs if you need features such as API keys, per client throttling, request validation, there it is, and WAF integration and others. All right. In that case, well, it should be as easy as this, right? Nope. Just API. Gonna call on API. Creates a collection of API gateway resources and methods that can be invoked through HTTPS. It need not be explicitly added to the AWS application definition template, so we don't need to write it inside of here if we don't want to, but we have it specifically defined to be able to have a reference to it more easily, at least. So there's something like a type. We have models. Is this a REST API or is it probably is passed directly to the API key source type? That's not it. Definition body. Certain properties are provided, content may be inserted or modified, blah blah blah. I think it's just API then. Like so. Does that work? Sam build. That didn't work. Sam validate. Missing required property stage name. It is inside of the definition body, my friend. Stage name. This is going to be $default, which is like the inbuilt, so that it does not prefix with anything. Do that again. And in fact, we probably don't want to call this HTTP API anymore, because it's now a REST API. Well, let's first deploy it and then we try to figure it out. Sam build. So validation has completed. Sam build. Sam deploy. Next. And let's see whether this gives us an actual REST API. In particular, whether it deploys the validators. Would be nice. Failed. You need just to think about steps to take and then write comments. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, if I write something like a REST API Seriously? Is that the reason? Are you kidding me? A REST API that includes the API.yaml open API definition file. Do you work? Can do it. Code Whisperer does not work for YAML, right? Otherwise I could enable it. Oh, would you look at that? It's trying to do an HTTP API, however. It's just copying my code. Thank you, GitHub Copilot. That is not useful. That is not useful. It just copied all of the code from here and inlined it. But it was a nice idea to just write the comment and then hope for it to do the job. So what do we have here actually? Fail to create change set for should send newsletter. Change set create complete failed. Wait encountered a small determinate failure state. For expression status, we matched expected paths failed status failed. Upload or resource type is not permitted. The new template modifies resource type of the following resources. We might need to do the following. Like so. This is now a REST API indeed. So I just duplicated, hoping that with the help of this, we can actually transform it. Do I use HTTP API here somewhere? That should be fine. That should be fine. That should be fine. Let's check the roles ever so quickly. API gateway, assume role. That's the... here we go. Yeah, it is not the role, so that API gateway can actually access the unsubscribe workflow. It's not specific to any form of API, so that's very good. Let's try. I mean, why not? I like the idea, however, that we just... Have you heard of... It's chess with AI and humans. I forgot how they called it. Computer assisted humans. Maya chess. There's this discipline where basically the humans thinks about the long-term strategy, but the computer is just so immensely better in terms of tactics, like the short-term strategy, that they made a completely new idea, a completely new discipline in terms of chess. Yeah, you could downgrade chess to that, but there is slightly more to it, right? There's on the one hand the strategic play and the tactical play. Memorizing a lot of stuff definitely helps you in the tactics part, the short term. Seeing the formation and then knowing, oh, I can go this and that way. Well, yeah, you might be right. It is a lot about playing and recognizing the situation that you're in and knowing how to get to your goal, which is defeating the enemy from there. I can't find the name. AI augmented chess. That was not the name. But yeah. The result being, at least a couple of years ago, that the humans did, or these kind of players where you have like a human doing the strategic part and the the computer doing the tactic part did do pretty good. Particularly at the beginning of when test computers emerged. And in a sense, this reminds me of writing the large steps of what we actually want, and then letting the computer or code whisperer or GitHub Copilot handle the actual syntax and doing the actual algorithm. And we just tell it, well, if I want to have a newsletter, I first need to subscribe. I first then need to unsubscribe. I then need to do this and that, and then let the steps in between be handled by the AI instead, and just reviewing it basically. But we provide the large steps as humans. It's a one direction at least. Deploy. Yeah. Recently, some friend of my AI brain human interaction there was a like this year, I think. Slightly up. So by the way, I'm a big fan of Ghost in the Shell, and an anime from like back in the day. The original movie was in 1995, but the newer stuff is pretty nah. The good thing, and they had a Hollywood thing recently, and this person also has like in her brain, she's connected to the internet all the time, and she's also cybernetically enhanced, what they called it, having an AI inside of her brain as well as internet access all the time. Do they have an AI or at least some version of computer in their head that enhances their thinking analytic ability? And recently there's been something like that out there. AI brain, human, artificial brain. There's been something like that in the tech news this year, and I haven't really read about it. Blah, blah, blah. Can't find it anymore. Brain OS, a novel artificial brain-like automatic machine learning framework. It's 2020, but also just a paper. Human brain scale AI supercomputer discovery. Anyway, it failed. That's unfortunate. REST API failed. Why did it fail? Errors found during import. Unable to put integration on post for resources at subscribe. Enumeration value for HTTP method must be non-empty. Unable to put enumeration value for HTTP method must be non-empty. What is that supposed to mean? What is this formatting? API gateway. Did you hit it? I didn't recognize if you did. Integration HTTP method and tells our videos thinking that it may be required for HTTP proxy. So API YAML. That's writing post right there. Some more. You're having fun. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Fire!
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you did it. You squashed it. Can you actually see the hear the audio as well? Like the oh yeah. And it should also make a squash. Man, that bug was it's a nasty one. It's immediately sorry, this we had a call, line call. Panic needed to dispatch a cyber emergency response team. Oh, everything is all right. You hear the audio. Okay, very good, very good. It on the one hand, it should make like a that sound. Oh man, that sucks. That's unfortunate for them. Hope they can decrypt it in a short time. Yeah, there's been recently ransomware customer support. There's been this article. Good customer services has become a key part of a lucrative scam. Because if customer, so arguably, if customer support would be bad for ransomware, nobody would pay the price, right? So they have very, very good customer support apparently for when your decryption does not work and whatnot, which is kind of weird. I'm very sorry for your client, of course. It absolutely sucks. I hope I will never get actually hit by something like this. But apparently the custom support for ransomware is very, very good. Malware now comes with custom servers. Yeah. There was like something that is like, huh? Why? But if you think about it, it actually makes sense for them. So why is this not working? Enumeration value for HTTP method must be non-empty. Let's check our, not our, but I think it's s12d.land or .com. Serverless land. It's not the right one. It's not the right one. I suppose you meant to say it, no, not you. Firstly, it purposely infected a virtual machine to see how the customer support is. Oh, you actually did that. Oh. And I have to say, they could win an report on the support. Very interesting. And very clever from you that you first checked how they will react before you actually pay the price. Yeah, that's very, very clever. Yeah, one of the nice things about virtual machines, if you set them up correctly, or you run them in the cloud, you can just do this kind of dangerous stuff. I remember, so MB Crump, who was a streamer here on Twitch, from one of the Microsoft people, who looked into security, cybersecurity. He's now streaming on YouTube. So check him out. His name's MB Crump. Recently he's been doing he's hacking he's hacking the PlayStation 4 a little bit. And he on stream also installed multiple different viruses on his computer to actually check out how it works. Of course, running inside of a virtual machine in the cloud. So he could just, I think he was using VMware to just be able to reset to a previous state. We have a policy of not paying ransoms, as it encourages them doing it again. Yeah, that is one of the bad things. Yeah. That is one of the bad things. The problem being, well, if you get hit hard, how much choice do you really have, right? Yeah, it would be nice if it just didn't happen, like these kind of ransomware attacks, or any of these cyber attacks. But yeah, there are people out there. So, looking into this serverlessland.com patterns, which I learned about the other day when I was watching the serverless office hours on AWS account here on Twitch. We can look at API gateway like there. Then we can check different stuff. Can we like search for stuff? No, we cannot. HTTP API. We actually want the REST API. REST API. There we go. REST API to Event Bridge. REST API to Event Bridge. REST API. Do we have like validation? Oh, look at that. Nice. That looks promising. So what they do is they have a serverless API, which we do have as well. Did I write this correctly? The API up here. Properties, stage name. Yeah. Okay. It was mentioned to infect the virtual machine as our security infrastructure prevented it until I removed the machine from the trusted net. Like a gamified security test. Trying to hack it. Try hack me style. Do I understand that correctly? So what do we have here? We define a model, apparently. And that's it. And then we can now use this. That's nice. It's actually not terrible. We unfortunately have to... Oh yeah, I have Eric Johnson actually. I saw him streaming yesterday. I think. Which means, so if we want to do this, we have to fiddle around with this friend here and actually move everything over. Is there no other way to do this? I'm not... Let's read this once more. API gateway does not support Swagger's default method response found on get unsubscribe. Oh, that might be the actual issue. Or are there multiple issues? It might also be the case. So we cannot use default here. Actually, let's switch it over. I have a feeling that we get better support when we not try to... I feel the documentation on this Open API thing is lacking. So what I instead will do is move everything over into the template. It will bloat our template somewhat, unfortunately, but we then have the documentation of how it actually is actually being deployed directly on the resource, which is nice. Just wanted to see how the customer support was, and my security infrastructure was like, nope, you aren't going to do this. Oh, I see. Would you like to know the best thing I have done for business when it comes to... Absolutely. I feel it's the best thing I did for my business. Absolutely. I think also other people will be very, very interested. If you look at the people at Google, I think more than 50% of the Google people actually say they want to actually start a startup. And I think that is not only a Google phenomenon, it is a phenomenon across many developers. Let's say it like that. Many developers. Not everyone, but many. Yeah, so if you would be so kind to share your ideas and the things that have worked for you, that is like gold. Absolute gold. Thank you so much for offering. So let's do this. Instead of having the definition body, we actually say, well, we use the stage name, like so. Oh, there's another bug. Up there. Go get it, homeless. Squash it. You really deserve an award for squashing so many bugs here on screen. So models, and we define the subscribe request body, and this is just going to be this, right? If I'm not mistaken. So it is of type object, it requires some stuff, and then it defines the properties. Why do we define this? Data model for the vehicles to be validated against. And it's just referencing it down here. Well, that's one way of doing it. We might want to check out can we... Hey, you squashed it. Can we move this to the subscribe sfn.events? That would also be nice, because up here it is like loading up the API endpoint, I think. Right. Parameters. Yeah, we don't need you anymore. Instead, what we're going to do is we call on our HTTP API subscribe. Right here, we say events, subscribe, yeah. Type is going to be API. We have to reference. Can I copy? Damn it. Properties, REST API. Do it like this. Oh, that helps. And then we say here, this is going to be subscribe how did we call it? Request body. We call it wall slab. We have a massive wall that we turned to a whiteboard. On Fridays, we have a minimum of 1 hour of what we call slab, wall slab. Wall slab is when the different teams come together, we all gather and sit on beanbags and have lunch, during which we sit and come up with ideas. The ideas are slapped on the wall, we talk through them. Sounds weird, but it has led to some of our best performing products in process. So it's a basically you're creating a platform for innovation. Very nice. And also a very comfortable one. Sitting on beanbags. I like how they did things at Xerox Park. Ah, okay. Wall slam. Thanks. It's interesting. I'm gonna save that to my Google Keep here, which I will not share in this case. I just copied the text. Down here. Ideas. Creating a platform for innovation. By the way, when I was talking about the startup idea, I will maybe get in it, talk about it in a minute. So Nick, you also know a bit about it. A lot of people here on stream, actually, Homeless and a couple of other friends brought in new ideas, which was very, very nice, and some ideas that I probably wouldn't have come up with myself. You're kind of co-working on stream, which is very, very nice. Co-working is probably not the right word. Cloud innovation. Crowd innovation. Not that we have like a crowd in the terms of 100 and thousands of people, but still, like, people from completely different backgrounds here on stream come together and then gave me some ideas. So what my startup idea is, I'll give you a short intro, Nick. If you don't innovate, you die. Yeah, that's what I've read and what I've seen so far. So the startup idea is about people who have sensitive skin. And there might be something out there that is also doing something very, very similar. Key to the product that I think of is usability. So when you have people with sensitive skin, oftentimes, I'm mostly thinking about female customers in this case. They kind of have skin that tends to be very dry, skin that might, if used with the wrong product, easily tends to get red, or that where you get pimples all over the place. And what the problem they have is that they have to use skincare products. The other problem they have, or the other half of the problem, is when they use skincare products, half of them actually doesn't fit, or maybe even more, depending on your sensitivity. And these skincare products easily cost between 20 and 40 euros per month for a single, even for a test run, you easily pay 20 to 40 euros or dollars, basically. By now it's almost 1-1. That means, and it costs a lot of frustration if you buy this product, and then you put it on your skin, and an hour later you have everything is just swollen and red and not very nice, and not the effect that you actually wanted from the skincare product. So the idea being like a pre-warning system for allergic effects, allergic reactions, And I suppose there is something like that out there, but I haven't seen it in a very, very comfortable way. And the people that told me about this idea, non-developers, also told me I haven't found anything like it, otherwise I would have bought it. And the usability must be as good as the person with sensitive skin goes into a supermarket or drugstore, looks at the product, takes a picture of the product, or maybe of the barcode, or maybe of the ingredients, uploads it, and after 10 seconds she has the result. This is probably not something for you. It's most likely knowing what you have reported to us and what other people with like your skin type have reported to us. This is going to cause trouble for you. Or at the very least, just have a quick summary of, well, there's alcohol inside of that. So most likely this is at least going to burn on your skin, and if you don't like it, it might not be for you. Yeah, the important part being user-friendliness in this case. Having a great UX, it must be as simple as taking a picture and then waiting at most 10 seconds, because you don't want to wait 30 minutes. Oh, you don't want to wait 30 minutes for the result to be deployed, because you are in the supermarket at that point and you want to go to somewhere else, right? You've seen apps like that, but they're terrible at the moment. Not user-friendly at all. Yeah. I've also seen some databases that do stuff and that we could like collaborate with. I have some links somewhere. Forgot the names. So there's on the one hand an EU cosmetics ingredients database. The one that actually gets closest to it is the Environmental Working Group Skin Deep database. And they also provide an app that I still haven't checked out. I need to do that. And here you just put in your product. For example, let's say Head and Shoulders, which is the product that I'm currently using. Charcoal or shampoo and conditioner, sandalwood. And then you see a score. It is low on cancer, promoting stuff. It is higher on allergies and immunotoxicity, low on developmental and reproductive toxicity, and high on use restrictions. And then you see a lot of, well, data about the ingredients and how they score. The simplest that we can do is basically provide easy access to this, which they do. So there is an app up here, you see the Healthy Living app, but apparently it mostly works for the American market. And my target market would probably be Germany or the Central European stuff, or even more Japan actually, because Japan has simpler rules in terms of because this is like on the verge of healthcare data, and you don't want to work with healthcare data in Germany. It's don't do it. Do yourself a favor and don't do it. There are so many restrictions in terms of data privacy. So this is kind of on the verge of being medtech almost, but not directly. You have a skincare issue with sunlight. I have lupus, so if I get too much sun, I get a lupus flare and end up in hospital. Oh wow. I think the FDA has an API for medications. What's the FDA? The US Food and Drug Administration. Oh, very nice. That's probably something to look into as well. Let me take a quick note in here. Yeah. Not coming from the US I don't know these kind of administrations. I know there is something for the EU. This beautiful database, which is like completely unusable for any human being. You're from South Africa. Oh, nice. Okay, but you're still aware of something like the FTA. Interesting. Yeah. So, COSING is a European Commission database for information on cosmetic substances and ingredients contained in the cosmetics regulation, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, that's something here. Search in the COSING database. But look at it, it's terrible. Let's look at CA, I don't know. Give me just a second here, and I look at my shampoo. Or maybe we can just take something from here. We take CI cosmetic ingredients 42090, which is like a blue color. 42090. CI 42090. And then you get this kind of data, blue, and yeah. No normal human would look at this. Let's be honest. But apparently it has a function in particular about hair dyeing. Dye. Today we die. Sorry, that's a reference to Krug Smash. Krug Smash, who's doing Dwarf Fortress videos, and he has anybody played Dwarf Fortress? Today we... Oh no! Where did it go? Krug Smash. Oh, thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel. By the way, I'm going to... I did buy a pop filter from the subscriptions. Today we die. So he had a fortress of dwarves, and one of the dwarves was actually a necromancer. But this necromancer was also a legendary dyer for like clothing. So, and he gave a how do you call this? A presentation, a demo of how to dye. And it was like, today you die. Being a necromancer and all that was super funny. And it's a game that is automatically generated, and he's like drawing it. It's actually an ASCII art. Check him out, he's pretty amazing. I love his videos. I love his videos. This is like just a random one. Be aware it's going to look like something like this. This is completely an ASCII art. What you can see down here is there's a dwarf inside of there. And some walls, and these are the caverns probably, and there's some grass and so on. So it takes a bit of time to actually get used to it, but yeah, it is a lot of fun. Recently he hasn't been so active, unfortunately, but yeah, that is a terrible database. I absolutely agree. Unfortunately, it doesn't have too many information on how it is actually going to be performing. There are some opinions apparently. Opinion of the Scientific Committee on Cosmetic Products and Non-Food Products intended for consumers. Acid blue. So each single one of these entries apparently has this kind of reference, which is very, very useful for people who are on the topic. Toxicity, for example. But it's not anything that you can actually use. You cannot show this to any normal human. In particular, it's only in English. So for people who don't speak English that well, in particular in Japan, you have a large community that is like maybe a 2 level in terms of English speaking. Then there's no way they can read this. There's no way they can read this. I do not have a Discord now. Discord, I don't. I have trouble with Discords. Like the UI is just so terrible. It really takes some time to get used to. And I'm also not a person that hangs out on chat. We do have some socials. So if you want to reach out to me during my free time, you can find me there. And I appreciate if you do. I appreciate also you hanging out here. Short disclaimer, in 2 weeks I'm going to move 8 time zones and live in Japan. And I have to change both my streaming schedule as well as the way I'm going to stream. Probably without video, because more than just me are going. People are living in the house then. Also not going to be sure how often I will be streaming. The first 2 weeks are probably just, maybe I will be able to keep the Wednesday stream, which is at 18 o'clock. Does South Africa time zone, does it actually have like the same as GMT plus 2? South Africa time zone? Yeah, it's GMT plus 2. So we're in the same time zone, but like thousands of kilometers difference. You don't sleep much. Well, that's a startup. That's a CEO for you. Yeah. That's a CEO for you. Take some sleep. Please, for your health. All right. Moving back. So we now have our subscribe step function actually referencing the API we have up here, and it's not called ref main API, it's called REST API. We have post, we have /subscribe down here as a path. We want to validate against this thing here, and I think that might be it. We might need to provide it with permissions, however. Let's deploy first. Sam build. I sleep when I can, so it's usually in small blocks throughout the day. Oh wow, you're doing the Napoleon thing. So Napoleon, apparently he slept like 6 times for 15 minutes a day, which is 1.5 hours, or 8 times maybe. He in general slept 7 hours out of the 24 hours, besides taking a short nap. Okay, apparently it's only a believed in only 4 hours of sleep. There's some rumor about that, at least. A former roommate of mine actually tried something like that, and he was pretty happy with it. He did it for like half a year or something. I have a room that is only accessible through a door in my office. It's basically a small apartment with a bathroom, kitchen, and bedroom. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. That's cool. Yeah, that's the stuff. That's the reason why I'm working from home, actually. You just sleep in the office. Wow. Being a CEO is rough, particularly if you have a team. The responsibility in particular is one thing that I think about is actually going to be pretty heavy on my psyche, right? That's the English word. Like the responsibility of actually being there for my employees at sometime in the future. Not yet, but sometime in the future. So it did deploy something. Oh no, we didn't. We just built it. Let's deploy it and see whether something happens. I think I still have to change back my API because that didn't work. Yeah. Fetch. Subscribe is invalid property request model not defined for resource of type API. But that's what they're doing. What kind of version are they using? Serverless 2016, 10, 13. Let's revert this one first. Don't need it anymore, I don't think. So we have REST API, we have models. That looks alright. Then we have our subscribe function, events, subscribe, type API. Maybe we have to look at SAM template, events. Event source. But does it not work for step functions? Event source seems to be something different. Yeah, we are on function. Never mind. That's the wrong one. We can go to. Is it different? We have API down here. There we have a request model. We have request parameters. We have REST API, and so on. Maybe it doesn't work for step function. Also, I take on one university student a year. Then I take on my wing and mentor them for a year. It's very good. They become a normal intern. I don't spend as much time with them. The intern I've taken on for a year, attends all my meetings, and gets to see how the entire business operates. Wow, that's amazing. It's great that you share all your knowledge on that one. You're also very generous with sharing your knowledge with us here on the TouchGrid Tea Time. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Like contributing and not just taking. That's amazing. That's one of the parts that why I'm coding, in fact. I mean, currently I'm coding kind of for myself, but also on stream. I don't have much from it besides the fun and the knowledge sharing. Exactly, getting together with the people. We have a couple of faces that come here again and again. I'm very grateful to those friends here in chat. If general to improve our industry. Yeah. Industry and world. Hopefully somehow it also improves our world. I have a feeling that we cannot have a state machine with an event. So there it is. Look at that. We can't have API right here. Method pass. Oh, this one doesn't have validation. Why? Why? Seriously. Request parameters. Oops. Events, properties, request model, request parameters. Damn it. All right. So why? First of all, why? Why is this not not work. Did it fail actually? Yeah, it failed to create the change set. Let us do the following for a second. We remove that one. We create this model and we save. And now I'm actually going to build, and then I'm going to deploy, and then we're going to use the UI, the AWS console, to figure things out. Maybe there's a way to do it from there. Then we can export it as an API.yaml, open API specification, and then use that one. I hope that's possible. Let's see. So we can absolutely deploy. That's at least one good thing. Do we use REST API here somewhere? No, we do not. Okay. So yes. So I'm deploying now basically just the REST API together with its model. And then we're going to check that one out, hoping that we learn something out of it. No, it failed. The REST API doesn't contain any methods. Oh, seriously? I mean, we can do the following. Do we have any kind of transform? I made an embarrassing mistake the first year of the business, as I made the mistake with the intern I took on. What happened was absolutely not their mistake, it was mine. I gave them access to one of the production databases. It was an intern database, they accidentally deleted the database, and I would not hold them responsible for that. It was my fault. Yeah. Being in the senior position, I feel you. Being in the senior position is like not blaming, or being the one that is not blaming, taking the responsibility for making it so easy to make a mistake. I'm not blaming you, by the way. On the contrary, I'm actually saying it's a good thing what you did in terms of how you reacted. And then whenever we noticed a mistake, not let that mistake happen ever again. I think it was in the DevOps where they said, like, in the DevOps handbook, the good book, where in the retrospective you would say something like, or in the post-mortem, we as seniors must apologize for making it so easy to make a mistake. We have the responsibility, and we will need to make sure, or we will now make sure, that such a mistake will never happen again, or similar mistakes. Something like that. I don't remember the wording just 100%. So I'm doing something stupid now. I'm just going to go to any form of contact chunks function, whatever. Let's just take this one. I'm going to now deploy it into the REST API, so I have something. We just call it blah blah. You take this model, perfect. All right. Is it still reverting? Yeah, it's still reverting. Did it follow the least privilege principle? Yeah. Oh. That is... Yeah. It's good that you learned the thing. And it's, let's say it like this. It's good that you made the mistake in the first year. Right? Being in like the 5th year and deleting all your data, that would be worse. That would be worse. Yeah. Of course it still sucks. Sam deploy next. Do it. Take a quick stretch here. up those hands in the air and doing a straight back, and maybe also pushing those the shoulders upwards. Then relaxing for a bit and feel the relaxation and keep it relaxing for a few seconds after you did it. You can also do the shorter version with just like shrugging your shoulders and keeping the pressure for a few seconds, and then yeah, it was I think it would also have been bad for the business, because nobody would have wanted to work with you anymore. Yeah, so it probably was the right decision. It failed! Yay! Why? Oh, this is not a valid stage name. Seriously? REST API default stage name. I don't want, like, I want one with stage name, no prefix. It's open. Seriously? But that's part of serverless. No, serverless express. Never mind. Yeah, AWS API gateway. You can do it with custom domains. Nah. Is there no other way? My bad, just tried setting path optional. Like right here. That doesn't look right. Never mind. Let's just call it prod, and then we have like a prefix API. Whatever. Or let's actually call it dev for now. So all of it failed once again. Let's see exactly. Also, the intent was learning, and I learned from it as well as I. Yeah. Probably more. It was more about you learning in this case. But that's how mentoring is from time to time, right? Oftentimes you actually mentor. As a mentor, you get more out of the equation than the junior. You were able to recover the data. That's awesome. Congrats on that. We had backups in 3 places: one in the office, one off-site at my home, and one in, yeah, you mean in the one door right next to your office? Just kidding. Sam deploy. And one inside of AWS. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Did you ever try to? There's always the gag, kind of the running gag, that you have to test your backups, which is actually correct. But it's sometimes also hard to do. So yeah, anyway, you really enjoy mentoring. That's great. Yeah, I do too. When I've been working with a friend of mine who we originally were like, we both were mathematicians, and then I switched to computer science earlier, getting into well, not computer science, but into programming and software development. And we work now together for like 4 years maybe, in terms of programming together. It's been a lot of fun. And he now got his first job. Actually, he now got his second job. Yeah, which is very, very cool. I'm very happy for him. You do test our backups. Wow, that's like you're running a proper business, my friend. You're doing it the right way. You're doing it the right way. I was given the opportunity when I was in university to be mentored by one of the best IT people in the country. Yeah, I also had the generous opportunity when I got to university. I had I went into a flat sharing, and one of these two people actually studied computer science, and he was actually also like 3 years ahead in terms of university. So I started, he was in his 3rd year, so he was really like the sent by mentor. And he brought me actually into coding the proper way, which I'm very, very, very generous, grateful for all this help. He's a very, very, very good friend even now. We kind of became life coaches of each other. We're only 9 people plus the intern. Yeah. But it's 9 people. Think about it. It's 9 people that you're responsible for in a sense. That is amazing. That is amazing. So, don't understate the value of having these 9 people with you. I think we deployed something into our API. If I refresh here, we should see something. We also have test delete me, which I do want to delete. Goodbye. Here, the REST API. Company's 4 years old. Hey, so we have. You're getting close to the part where you stop being like a startup in the normal sense, in the regular sense. I think it's like the first 5 years after starting. It's like the period where it's decided where you're going. So we see our blah blah method here. We see the method request. We see an integration. I'm currently forwarding to my Lambda. We have like a model. It looks like this, which is goodish. Why is this? It's double escape because it's a regex inside of a JSON. Okay, everything is good. We can try calling this for now. Where do I find my URL? Pages, routes. Where's my route? APIs. It's a newsletter. So can I like get the URL? Do I have to copy it together myself? Well, so let's go in here and we do something like this. We switch out the URL right there. And I think the rest is correctish. We called it blah blah. Sorry for switching between bright and dark all this time. And I think that's about it. So let's send it. Not found. Okay. So that's not the URL. Good. I think if we go inside of our template here once more, we see this URL. We can put into the output. This is the REST API. This is the route is currently called def. Execute API. So like this. And this is called REST API, I think. Yeah. API URL, and then we say /dev/blah blah. Not found. Let's deploy this and see what the output is going to be. It's actually still in university. Wow. That's only natural. Building a company on the sidelines. Also health issues. Wow. I'm impressed by your CV in a sense. The path you've taken. Definitely not the simplest path, but I suppose one that is very, very fulfilling. And you look back and say like, wow, I did something. Apparently it's this route here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Invalid request buddy. Yoo-hoo! And if we do hi at asdf.com, that actually works, but it will not do anything. It will actually crash. Yeah, that's correct. But that worked. So we have a way to do some validation. That's good. Now let's dive right in. Oh, that's the ID. Okay, let's dive right in. We create a new method. It's going to be post. Yes. Oh. I want to add a new route. Oops. Resource documentation. Create. Because it's based on resources here. I see. Let's call this subscribe to. So we can delete it later on. Enable course. Not now. Configure a proxy. Damn it, I missed it. No methods. Oh, okay, let's do it again. Create resource. Take a proxy. You can add parameters using brackets. For example, the resource path username represents path parameter called username. I just don't recommend it if you really want a social life. Yeah, I can imagine. It should work on average 10 hours a day. Huh. Even, yeah, parents. Never satisfied. In a sense. Resource name. How do we configure a proxy? Maybe we can find something inside of our patterns here. So what we want is actually a API gateway to step function. And we actually want to use a REST API. Here we go. View this pattern. So in here, copy and paste this over. In here, we have an API with a name. Oh, they use the standard way, which is also fine. Basically, we did pretty much the same. How do they link it, however? Shouldn't we have like, oh, there we go. API gateway root method. It's an API gateway method post Authorization type none. Integration HTTP method post. AWS. This looks promising. This looks very, very promising. I admit. Good like, I can help you apply for the partner program. I'm not exactly sure for what the AWS partner program exactly is. Do you mean like becoming a partner, or using the partner network? They're never satisfied. Yeah. Which one? Yes. That's a mathematician's response. Does this list go up or down? Yes, because you use logical or. Becoming a partner. At this point, I don't intend of becoming a partner. Maybe I will at some point, but right now I don't intend to. Pay the annual fee of $2,500. Well, that's a hurdle. Yeah, but at this point, I don't intend of becoming a partner just yet. I will do some other stuff first. I maybe during the month in Japan, I will maybe go for the certification. Like I have the associate. Where are they? They did it like level wise. So I do have the foundation because, well, you get it automatically. And then I have the solutions architect associate. I might start learning for the solutions architect professional, but it's a lot of learning and it's a lot of very, very detailed knowledge. Probably also a lot of stuff that I have to repeat from the associates stuff. But that would be nice. In particular, we can do most of the stuff on stream, right? Or at least a lot of stuff. We can fiddle around with things on stream, which has two benefits. I'm learning, or three benefits. I'm learning, you're learning, and I'm also preparing for the certification. Like three birds with one stone. That might be something that I want to look into when I'm in Japan. In particular because, yeah, Japan will be very, very different from what I'm currently, from my current lifestyle. I will be living again with my wife, which I'm looking forward to. And it's just going to be a completely different way of living again, I think. Yeah. So that one might be. Why did I choose? Because I speak the language. I've been into Japan like forever. I'm also a big anime fan. At some point I did kendo, which is Japanese sword fighting, like the samurai stuff. I had a lot of fun with that, but I had to stop, unfortunately, due to back pain that I developed. It was very unfortunate, but I still have the how do you call this? The armor. I still have it in my cellar. And I also did shamisen. It's like a Japanese lute. It has a very, 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 very distinct sound. That is, if you maybe look at Wagaki, it's like a metal band that is using the sound. It is a very, very distinct sound. I can't really describe it. It's like very oriental stuff in a sense. All right, let's see what we have here. So we want to invoke REST API from AWS. Sorry, we want to pass through from REST API and then invoke the step function. That's what we are trying to do. For that, apparently we need a gateway method. AWS API gateway method. What exactly is this? Defines the parameters and body that clients must send in their request. Okay. That's like the... What exactly is an API gateway method in this case? An API method embodies a method request and a method response. Okay, so on a very, very API level, it is the definition of this API level. And then it forwards probably further into the integration, which then is actually our step function. We did fencing, but I had to stop due to blood clotting. Autoimmune condition called anti-Viver syndrome, which led me to have take blood thinner for the rest of my life. Slightly different, but my father had to think due to medication. On the other hand, he had he became blood thinning. He had blood thinning due to medication. So for him it was the opposite kind of. I ended up in hospital often, so I ended up working from the hospital whenever I am there. Not sure whether that's a solution. I gotta be honest with you, my friend. Yeah, well, it's your life, so I won't judge you. But please take care of yourself. If you think it's the right way, if it helps you, I suppose it is. I won't judge you. It's not my thing to decide. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Interesting. That is interesting. That is very interesting. I wonder how it feels for them. So response model empty. This might be the solution to everything. Oh, yesterday we were fiddling around with how to override the API gateway response for like 2 hours, and it was useless. In the end, we kind of gave up. Maybe this is what we want. This might be what we want. Or maybe it's just the API, the documentation, and it is not what we want. It might also be that one. But it looks very, very promising, I gotta admit. So let's take our friend here. And we go up. And we say, we go here, and we put you right there. Root method. What keeps me going? Yeah, I can imagine. They are confused when I change the meeting venue from my office to a hospital. Oh, they thought that it was a prank. Well, what can I say? So, let's check this one out. I think we're getting there. How do we connect the... we specify the deployment separately. We have the deployment and we have the API gateway separately. And that helps us to do stuff. It's waitable? Is it really? Properties path. What is this path? We are inside of a role currently. What is this waitable? So we have a definition in that file, which we do not have access to at this point. But apparently it's just a regular state machine. Weird. It's not express. Maybe we found a way to do stuff. So let's go over to our template, and I think we can now figure things out. I think it shows them how dedicated I am to ensuring they get the best service possible. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So in a sense, you make it into a sales point. That's interesting. Like this is indeed this is like the thinking of an entrepreneur, if you ask me. Turning something that looks like a weakness into something that is actually a benefit. That is indeed thinking of an entrepreneur. We have some example. Not out of my head right now, but let's do this one. I think we're getting closer because I have like 1 hour left. And for streaming, and I do want to finish this up, at least get in the right direction with the validation fun. So all right, so AWS stack name minus API, that's the name. Yeah, okay. That's okay. We then have a deployment which depends on this friend here, which references the API gateway itself and calls it stage dev. Then we have the API gateway root method, which gives us a post endpoint. It is a root method. Do we have like a path inside of here? We can maybe check the documentation of this friend here. What do you think your biggest security risk is in this application? So we have improper validation in terms of there might be some alerts that we get, or even our I don't know. I suppose so. When we save an email into SES, I hope SES does most of the validation and then explodes in the worst case. So we at least risk wrong errors, which is just annoying, not a security risk. If it's worse, it might actually be that we actually saved those fake emails. You can also subscribe for anybody basically, but I mean that's a problem of pretty much every newsletter, right? We do not have double sign-in. I think that's what you call it, like where you first get an email which says click on this link to verify your email address, otherwise we will not send you the newsletter. We do not have that, which is at least a risk in terms of spammers or some malicious actors to reduce our email score. And the email score is pretty much the complete application, right? In this case. Other than that, well, we are using very strict IAM roles, so that is good. We do not really have a way I am the only one who has access to the API keys, so that should be all right. We also have set up all of our users that can log in, the root user and the one user, the IAM user with the admin role that I'm using currently. Both of them have multi-factor authentication, so that's all right. And they have hardcore passwords, so those should be all right. Things that could otherwise go wrong. We can, if you subscribe with your email, I can unsubscribe you very easily, because at this point the unsubscribe is just plain text. It just is like a JSON inside of the query parameter, which is just plain text, the email. So I can unsubscribe you, which is in a sense a security risk. It is not a security risk in terms of you can take over the code and whatnot, but it is at the very least you can change the customer data as somebody who has not access to another person's email. So that's at least a risk. Other than that, I'm still not 100% sure how it works under load in terms of if you send me 20,000 requests at the same time. I don't know exactly how it works. So you might be able to DDoS me, except AWS probably blocks you from it. Sorry, DOS me and probably also DDoS me. But probably AWS handles it because we're using API gateway, remember? And I think to a degree it does some DDoS protection, but I'm not toggling you in any way, throttling you in any way. Other than that, well, you cannot change the source code so easily because everything is on my machine. If you get access to my machine, well, yeah, obviously, you have access to everything, to the complete AWS account. Other than that, let's see. Most of the stuff is inside of the AWS network, and everything is secured inside of there. We only have 2 endpoints that we have to care about. So yeah, we're only on the free one. Having if we switch over now to REST API, we can in fact use the WAF from AWS, which additionally would help us protect ever so slightly. But I don't think we have like a massive attack surface at this point, right? It's 2 endpoint. We do some validation, or at least that's what I'm currently trying to set up. And even if you DDoS me, yeah. Well, well, it's not like the service is under heavy load. It's a subscribe endpoint for a blog. Absolutely no. I'm building this for fun at this point. Building it for fun and for learning, and for content. Well, in a sense, mostly for learning. The long-term goal is indeed the skincare product service, allergy finder. I don't know. I don't have a good name for it just yet. This one is only learning step functions to get more familiar with the fun stuff, so that we can build the product more easily. Because at this point, I'm not in the building business just yet. Yeah. So for that product, I would probably do penetration testing for the other product, because that would probably be either, at least in version 1.0.0 or 0.1, a website where you can access, because the browser is actually fairly capable, and it's probably easier to get people to go to a specific website and then do a quick picture of the skincare product and upload it and get a response than it is to convince them to actually install an app. So that's one thought for the prototype. So I can go to skincare companies to just have a web page, or if it turns out to actually, if that actually works, I think if that actually works in an okayish fashion, then, because that means the backend is already valid, right? Then we can just change the front end into having an app probably built using Expo, because I'm familiar with that one, which is React Native. So I can eventually, it's mostly going to be iOS users. I think that's the target group. They pay more, or they pay for their products, I'd say it like that. And I can then cross compile to iOS and Android if I want to. And it also does something like Expo barcode scanner. There's something like that out there, which I can then just include very easily and scan barcodes without doing much. There's also Expo camera access. Managing all of that with this is, I think, much easier than building an actual app. Let's see. If you do decide to launch as a product, let me know and I'll see if I can get one of my guys to do a penetration test for you. Thank you. You just want to hack me. Be honest. Buy the product or both would be free. I would just need to find when one of my pen testers decided to do it. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It will take some time. Give you some more time. It will take some more time, definitely. As I said, my first priority is Japan and getting married, and then yeah, I'll look into what I'm going to do next. Thank you so much. That's very, very nice of you. I appreciate it. Some tea on you. Let's spread some tea here. I very much appreciate it. All right. So getting back to it. Let's try to deploy our API. I wanted to look at this right now. Actually, I wanted to also close like 1 million of these windows. The one that we actually need is just this serverless pattern. So I don't think I've shared this with you. Yeah, it has a lot of patterns in terms of everything serverless on AWS. There are apparently also videos. Very nice. Ah, the serverless office hours. Very nice. Yeah. So if you want to see me inside of the serverless office hours, I'll be here in this video, most likely. If it includes the Twitch chat. Oh, it doesn't, unfortunately. No Twitch chat. That's sad. It supports startups because I get support when I started. So it is my way of giving back. That's very nice. I appreciate it. Yeah. Let's keep up the sharing. Going back to the pattern that we wanted to look at. And then we go into our CloudFormation documentation. And we see it, I suppose it's somewhere. Do we not have a path? Request parameters? No. Path part proxy plus. I'm confused. Well, let's get it running once at least. So, because time is running out slowly but surely. Authorization type now. We want to have it publicly available on the internet because you. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. If you're on Twitter, I will also, or if you're already connected, maybe. Fine. So HTTP method 200 response model empty integration type post AWS. Then we want as the role. This is the role that API gateway is using to invoke our step function, and that is going to be this HTTP API subscribe role. I think it provides us with a assume policy or trust policy so that API gateway can actually use this role, and then it allows us to call this ARN, the subscribe SFN. So what I'm going to do is just reference. Oh no, do we need to use the ARN? I think we can just use exclamation mark ref, right? Let's double check. AWS : IAM : role. And what's the return type of role? Examples, return values, ref. It returns the role name, so that's not what we want. We want get attribute in this case. Then we have a URI. States action start execution. Okay, not sure why this is a URI. Pass-through behavior when no templates. I think this should be never. To do change to never. Request templates. I have no idea. We want to reference subscribe SFN. I need to go to the shops quickly. I will rejoin stream. Alright. Thank you for being here. If we won't see each other again today. Thank you so much for joining. It was a pleasure to have you. Hope to see you next time. Good tea time. Also the cat said bye. Did you see that? I love it. Cats. Alright, what do we have here? So we do a sub. We parse the JSON. And we put in the input right there. We do want input dot. I think I need to go to my API YAML. And somewhere we have subscribe here. We have input. So this is basically what we have here. And we need to use $request.body. I think. Like so. And then integration response 200, response template, application JSON, empty string, resource ID, API gateway. Yeah, there it is. Dot root resource ID. That is apparently something that is being deployed on this one. And then the REST API ID. Thanks for the conversation and content. Really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it. Let's get this bad boy here running. So REST API reference is going to be our reference up here. So that's good. Where do we... the role is right here. So that's good as well. And I think we might be good. Sam build, then Sam deploy, and I'll take a quick break. I'll be right back to you. Sam deploy. So we see we deploy API gateway, a root method, and a deployment. Yes, let's do it. And then we'll see how it works. And what's the actual path, because I think we have to fiddle around with the path ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. Resource ID of the API gateway resource. For root resource methods, specify the REST API root resource ID. Oh, okay. Yeah. Something has happened, and we see we have a URL right there. That's the wrong one. Never mind. Never mind. It's the wrong one. Let's go to APIs. And in here we should see send newsletter minus API endpoint, which has a post request, which points to our ARN. That's good. Method response, JSON empty, response integration, blah, 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 blah. All right. I just noticed that kind of the validation got lost. I hope that's not an issue. Oh, wait. That's the request template. Oh, request template. Never mind. So, I guess we just call it. It's the root, apparently. So, what's the URL of this? Cannot do that. What's the easiest way to get the URL from this? Then we go to our test right there, like there. And if we call this with an... First of all, let's call it with TypeScript teatime. TypeScript teatime@gmail.com, so that this hopefully works. We see invalid execution input, invalid state machine execution input, invalid execution input. Darn. 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 Response model. You have an integration right there. Request templates. Request templates. $request.body. It should be it. Oh, wait. State machine ARN. Oh, look at that. That's how we can actually reference stuff. Huh, nice to know. We can also just do this, which also works. Can we look at you once more, my friend? Post. Method request. Input request. You can also write test right there and then put something in. Very good. Stages, gateway responses. Modeled. Empty. Empty. I cannot click on empty. Okay, type object. All right. Request template. Where do we provide empty? Response model. That's not what we need. We need to provide the input. Request template. How did they do this in the example? I'm not familiar with this velocity template language. That sucks. It sets $data to I think this is wrong here. $data. So this is the variable that's defined up here, I think. And what we do is we take $input.json of $. I think here we need to provide request body. Maybe? Is that a thing? What if this input.json? API gateway mapping templates. So input variable. Or maybe this section provides reference information for the variables and functions that as an API gateway defines for use with data models, authorizes mapping templates and CloudWatch access logging. For detailed information about how to use these variables and functions, see working with models and mapping templates. Actually, that's what I want. Returns the raw. Oh, here we go. The input variable represents the method request payload, so it's the body, and parameters to be processed by a mapping template. It provides 4 functions. JSON of X. This method evaluates a JSON path expression and returns the results as a JSON. Okay. I think then this is actually correct. The stuff that we had at the very beginning. That's what you get for trying to change something that you do not understand, right? Then deploy. Do it, push it in the cloud. Push it in the cloud, yeah. Push it to the cloud. Up, up, push it to the cloud. That's a new song by Shakira. It's Shakira still active. Let's say Beyonce. Or maybe Beyonce and Shakira. Push it to the cloud, yeah. Push it, push it, push it to the cloud. I'm getting hungry. It's unfortunate. Update complete. That was very, very quick. Right. Let's run this bad boy. Invalid execution input. Invalid state machine execution input. Invalid execution input. Do we see logs somewhere? Settings. Sources. Post. Documentation. Edit API documentation. Edit method documentation. Edit resource documentation. Enable course. The method record sec configure the public interface of your API. This is the API definition that is exposed to your users. This API definition includes authorization and definition of the HTTP verbs that allow an input body. Headers. Query string parameters. We can click on there. Look at that. Currently we have no validator. We do want request body. No models currently. You can has cheeseburger in a couple minutes. Doesn't do anything, huh? The integration request. Somewhere here. That is alright. Start execution. So we want to call start execution. We have this row, that's correct. We have this ID, we have this step function. We have a mapping template right there. Application slash JSON. Pass through. I actually want to have never. Then we have this input. So I think the step function was never called. But let's double check. Was subscribed, right? At 10:56, or was it? What time zone? Let's run this once more and see whether we have a new API call. This is the correct API, right? 6. Oh no, it's not. Oh yes, it is. Never mind. Here we go. Do it. Invalid machine execution input. Is this wrong? Gateway states action. Credentials are alright. ID. So let's double check here whether we got a new execution. We did not. Okay. So this is old. Wait. That's not the ARN. Get attribute dot ARN. That should be better, right? That should be better. Deploy. Can we see this somewhere? Execution, start execution, AWS service step functions. But what function exactly? Oh, that's part of this. Oh, it was correct. It was correct. Never mind, I guess. Apparently it can also get the ARN like this. I'm not sure why. Maybe !ref returns the ARN. This looks alrightish. Why is this one not working? Input $data. What if we change U into $request.body? We just get rid of you guys. We save ya. And we execute you once more. No, invalid state machine execution, invalid execution input. Looks alright. Table. Let's do the following for just a second. We instead write something like email typescript ttime@gmail.com, and I'm writing this inside of here because I want to kind of easier iterate now, so that I don't have to redeploy again and 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 again. So if I just rerun this now, from Amazonas SWF service v2 model, invalid execution input, invalid state machine execution input. What do these guys do differently? Well, This one we have, this one we have, this one we also have. We also have exactly this code if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that was completely identical except for... No, even this one is identical. Then we have credentials, we have pass-through behavior, which I want to actually change. I want to have never. Pass-through behavior, never. Never. Ah, never mind. Code. Stop doing VS Code things. This. We then have AWS. What is this URI? Can we see it somewhere? Let's see it. Creation method, right? You're right, the uniform resource identifier for the configuration. If you specify HTTP for the type property, specify the API endpoint URL. If you specify mock, if you specify AWS, what did we specify? AWS. For the type, specify an AWS service that follows this format. ARN AWS API gateway region subdomain.service service. For example, a Lambda function URI follows this format. ARN AWS API gateway region Lambda path ARN AWS API gateway region states, which is step functions, colon in this case action / start execution. All right. If you specify HTTP, you must specify this property. Did we provide application / JSON? Yeah, we did. Where can I see the logs for this? There's gotta be a way. Settings, API keys, blah blah blah, usage plans, settings, controlling. PC link, settings, dashboard maybe? API calls. So we did have some API calls, wow. Invoke this API on the... Oh, there is where you actually see the URL. Very nice. We need to go to CloudFormation. CloudWatch. Oops, nope. CW. Log groups. We have some Lambda functions. We have SageMaker in here. We do not see API gateway, unfortunately. Or maybe it was on the next page. Do we have another page? No, we don't have another page. SageMaker stuff, Lambda stuff, nothing. Metrics, events, application monitoring, insights. Do not see anything in terms of the logs for the API gateway. Why is this not working? Did we miss anything? We have a role that has the right permissions, right? Yeah, it does. We also have, we don't have a status table, we do have a state machine. It's fairly similar. We have an API gateway itself and an endpoint configuration. We have a root method. That is good. We have all of this. Why is it not working? It must be something with this input thingy. Here. But it did put the right when we go to request. Wait, what is the request? Body. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Let's go back. Integration request. AWS service, step function. And you should pass mapping templates. Application/JSON. In that case, start this state machine, which is the correct one if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is the correct. Oh. Come on, I want to search. Yeah, it is the correct state machine. Why does the input not work? Input.json. This function evaluates the JSON path expression and returns the result as a JSON string. Return the raw request payload as a string. Path, params. We recommend that you use util.escape JavaScript to sanitize the parameter to avoid a potential injection attack. For full control of parameter sanitization, use a proxy integration without a template and handle request sanitization in your integration. What does this one do? Escapes the characters in a string using JavaScript string rules. This function returns any regular single quotes into escaped ones. However, the escaped single quotes are not valid in JSON. Thus, when the output from this function is used as in a JSON property, you must turn any escaped single quotes back to a regular single quote. This is shown in the following example. Dude, going to clone this now. Oh man, I have like 10 minutes. Says. Step function. How does your step function look like, my friend? So that's state.enter time. Oh. Good to know that there's something like that out there. Yeah, they use $.id. We do exactly the same. Why is it not working? I'm confused. Final, wait until set initial status. Where's the entry point? Start at initial status. So, and then just put item with the database table, which comes from the template, I suppose. It sets or creates a new item inside of the table using input.id as well as this enter time, which is basically the current time. It's exactly what we're doing. Oops. Oh man, I have too many VS Code instances open. That's API REST. That's the example. That is the old one. We can close that one. Why do you not work? Darn. Input the JSON $. Ref. What does the $? What does the dollar exactly mean? $context, $input variables represent the method request payload and parameters to be processed by a mapping template. I think I call it a day. I don't know. For whatever reason, it isn't working. We have this. If I save this, we have the correct ARN. We have input. Do we need to write it in capitals? That would be so ridiculous. That would be so utterly ridiculous. Where is my API but YAML request parameters input state machine error. Capital I, capital S, save. Go to my request. So currently we got invalid. For the previous one we got invalid. And now if we post again, invalid. It was worth a try. It was worth a try. What if we do this? Nope. I'm just guessing by now. Can I do this? Nope. Can I do that? I have a feeling I need to look into this velocity template language VTL. Otherwise, this won't happen, I feel. All right. Thank you so much for joining. This was a TypeScript tea time today. Sorry. With a lot of issues on the API gateway side again. Unfortunately, setting that one up. We can still squash at least one bug because it is so absolutely close. Do it. Slightly more power up. Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Squash the bug. Now we just have to squash the real life bug. But that I don't know. I think I'll fill it with it some more today. I hope. Thank you so much for joining. This was TypeScript Tea Time. If you liked what you've seen, please feel free to follow, or please follow. I'm your host Mirko. Next time we'll be back with more AWS stuff and TypeScript stuff and more building a newsletter for a blog. Until then, everybody. See ya.